상제 주당 조지 전한 라 장주 바도 당년 제수 다게 제진제에 소남제 안도라 반제 상제로 조상제 주당 조지 전한 라 장주 바도 당년 제수 다게 제진제에 소남제 전남제 장제로 조상제 제당 조지 전한 라 장주 바도 당년 제수 진로라 편제 상제 주고 조 라당하면 매담면 지용보다 제전에서 조조조로 저거 제반에 상제 순보로도 시신도 외주를 대다시제다 몇천이 되는데 제제 제전인들 제서에 대해 주거든요. 제바들로 투자된 그거 니네 나변년제 현재 준사유 매대 안배단에 레바토라 투배선이지 남만라에 가다로다니 그 두보다다 미가는 조화 군제라는 지산바 탐지하게도 다그 제대로 올라서 된다 가세요 시발라고 진주기나 나는 응단 다다양 철라 매바 토와나 펑바된다 저완이 지식 철라 매바 토를 오전에 소나 신신라 이 가슴 거래서나 당연한 다자양 철라매와 차와다 철라매단 차와 세가 차랑아마다 세디라 안비 담비 철라매와다 차외 당연한 원단 다자라 철라매와 차외나 하고서 담비 철라 펑바딘다 주와나 세가라 아니 리심 동아시 아니 내가 펑바 딘다 추바나 리슴 동아시 안에 대외 통바 딘다 추바나 남자단 담바 수시 안에 첼라메와 토 미리 도 가서 미리바 안에 첼라메와 도 미리바 안에 첼라 안에 가서 메바 찌고래
라디 공다디
당연한 다다
하나
철라매단 차외나 담비 철라매와단 차와
So it says then that in the Bodhicharya avatar, the introduction to the Bodhisattva's way of life of Master Shantideva, that at this time, at the present and in the past as well, if I've been devoid of any kind of, if I've been separated from any kind of admiration for the Dharma, then what sort of suffering has arisen for me as a result of that? What kind of difficulties have I experienced? And if that is the case, then if I don't have that kind of admiration for the Dharma now, then what sort of I didn't get that.
차외나 담비처럼 그래서 어디 펑바딘다 주와나 사가 리셈 동아시 대외 펑바딘다와 주와나 리단 셈나 동아시 리단 대외 펑바딘다 주와나 펑바하고와 수시 철라면와 토를 교 남자들 담바 시인 신자라 철라면와 토미를 이렇게 말해 아니 철라면와 껴고래
남치탄 봐 술에
순자 시기나다
술은 시기야 So this is saying that out of lack of interest in the Dharma that I've had in the past and in the present as well, because of my lack of interest in the Dharma, I've experienced all kinds of suffering have arisen for me. And then if that is the case, then how is it that someone 남치 수이나
가르쳐
남치
가르세 야수 가리려면서 폼바 딘다 초하나 폼바라서 유지 동안 셈지 동안 리슴 대가 폼바 딘다와 초하나 수시 쳐라면 와 토로 조순다시 이나 남자 단단바 셰럽 단단바
So then it says that since it's the case that out of my lack of interest in Dharma in the past and in the present, that I've attained all of this situation of misery where I'm undergoing all kinds of suffering, then that being the case, who has any kind of intelligence would not admire and have interest in practicing the Dharma?
Oh yeah, 다 오늘 매와 가르스래 잖아. 개회 초니 탐자라 자와 매와 퇴송. 아니 개회 초 탐자라 아니 자와데 가르래 잖아 매와 대바. 왜 진짜 매와래 개회 초니 탐자라 자와 매와 대바. 자와 매와 좀 된대지. 자주도로 또 있네지 송아임. 자주도 있네지 이도에 가르치. 개회 초니 탐자라 자와 매와 퇴송. 개회 초 탐자기 자와데 매와래. 아니 매와기 자와대한 가르래서 대의 자와 따도는 남인 되고 공부했어. 아니 매와 대의 자와대한 아니 남인지 되고 공부해. 야.
So then it also says further that all of the root of all merit, all virtue, is this admiration and interest in Dharma. That is the root of all virtue, all merit. And this is explained in the Lalita Vistara or maybe some other sutras as well. It's the extensive sport sutra. And likewise it says then that being the case, that this interest in Dharma is the root of all virtue, then one should constantly apply oneself towards having that kind of interest and admiration for the Dharma.
올해 대자와 따도는 남민대우 공부서 세가라다 매와 대기자와 대한 남민지 대우 간지를 사나 아니 레라 다 가슴가 망한 좀 한번 치만 나신시네 소남다 소남 많이 빌레다 미요레 아니 소남 빌레 소남 많이 빌레라 안디 된저 풍부주야 소남 개외레다 미요빌레라 때네 된디 안에 동아 풍부주야 풍부니 친제라 안에 동아지 라신래 마대바 是吧 된저 제장 동아지 라신래 마대바 아니 소나 많이 빌레진 남미라 아니 나서도 제네 아니 대우 동아 용괴 대인자 남민 대우 권배 아니 동아 메대나 아니 동아지 주봉괴다 대와 되기에나 아니 대외 주괴다
So then it says this root of Dharma, which is the admiration for it, root of all virtue is the admiration for the Dharma. This comes from understanding the maturation, the results that mature from our actions. That is, we in order to have that kind of admiration and interest in the Dharma, we need to understand how it is that all of our experiences are the maturation of the karma that we have created. And so we need to understand how it is that all of the experiences that we have in the lower states of existence and the evil destinies arise from a non-virtue. That is, the non-virtuous karma produces all of the forms of suffering that we experience in the lower states of existence. And then likewise, any kind of happiness that we experience in the excellent destinies within samsara arises out of virtue. And but we also need to understand that as long as we are producing karma, whether it's virtuous or non-virtuous, will necessarily be compelled to take rebirth within samsara. So one has to understand all of that, the nature of causality as it applies to karma, so as to develop the interest and enthusiastic admiration and enthusiastic interest in the Dharma.
오야 대인자 누가 탐제기 주자와 아니 단세 말이 바쁜 거야 상 아니 대화 탐제기 나네 대화 탐제기 내 초도 주와 라나메베 대화 아니 산제 요코마 아니 산제지 아니 공방 탐제기 주 아니 가르래서나 소남다 이식 소사 거야 야
So then, in order to, once one's understood how karma operates to produce all of the experiences in samsara, even the miserable ones, of course, but also the pleasant experiences we have in the upper realms, then one has to understand that the root of that karmic process is misapprehension of the self. And then understanding that, we need to develop the wisdom, which the understanding of selflessness or emptiness, which is the direct antidote to that misapprehension of the self. And in that way, then we can achieve liberation, but that alone is not sufficient, because in order to achieve the unexcelled form of happiness, we have to achieve Buddhahood, and in order to achieve Buddhahood, we necessarily have to accumulate the two collections, the collection of merit and the collection of gnosis, which function as the causes for for Buddhahood.
아니 동아지 주 당신 봉고 가서래 당신 봉고 현장 당신 봉지 그 니뭐 돈이 또 비셔로 현장 아니 돈이 또 비셔라 토마 리지트에 가서 애라 탑 아니 대제라 아니 산제 그 취수국구 주제 그 주로 아니 돈이 또 시당 아니 티 심바게 아니 지서 사람 그 초대다 주제 그 아니 이些그 소니我的马线当然就忙不下马节了我一些个说的马线呢 아니 되게 연라라 아니 류가 있음지 아니 차와 탐제 아니 최다 tum바 랑게 롱 제자기 아니 내지 내당 아니 강게 롱 제베기 주당 아니 탐제다 야와라 마 때문에 최다 tum바 라시안라 편바지 요야기 다마 마소에 도시체
So therefore, here in the precious Garland, Master Nagarjuna has explained initially the development of the understanding of selflessness, which is the antidote that eliminates misapprehension of the self, and as a means to achieving liberation. And then he's explained how it is that has to be governed by the bodhisattva practices, bodhicitta, and the bodhisattva practices, so as to become actually the primary cause of the collection, the accumulation of the collection of gnosis. And then likewise, having that wisdom, one also, the practices of the bodhisattva path, practicing the perfection of generosity and so forth, it serves as the source, the primary cause of the collection of merit as well. He's explained then how it is that these two collections, merit and gnosis, function to produce the two embodiments of Buddhahood, the physical embodiments as well as the Dharmakaya. And then he's explained the basic practices that that produce the accumulation of the collection of merit. And then likewise, we've arrived at the point where he's explaining the practices which are adjuncts, sort of subsidiary practices for the accumulation of the collection of gnosis as well.
아니 렌데 가보 개벨레 나보 미기벨레 까나 제멜레 전에 올려줘도 마순거리 이자 레 대다 아니 다 라렌라 깨디 니사 추지게 레가라 링아 예숨 아니 다 가서 나보 개회 내다 까나래 때문에 내 텐데게 왕도 마서와 아니면 까보 개회 내게 왕도 좋아지 고고와 인장 아니 다다 디나가 수야 아니 다 겨우 되시 삼보라 차와 강제 아니 강소래 현라 편바당 개회 삼바당 tum바 죽고야 다 마다 말
So here then in the course of this exposition of the adjuncts to the production of the collection of merit, he's explained all of the, basically instructed the king to utilize all of his possessions, all of the entirety of the kingdom that he controls, the external environment in effect, as well as the inhabitants of that environment, himself and other living beings that exist within the world, towards the production of the collection of merit. And then here in the, likewise, in this section where it's explaining the adjuncts for the collection of gnosis, the same instruction is given. And then as it is said in the introduction to the Bodhisattva's way of life, that it's through meditation on karma, that is, specifically the maturation of karma, that is the results that arise from our activities, that one develops an understanding of how to behave properly. And here then there are virtuous kinds of behavior, like positive or light, white kinds of activities. Then there are dark kinds of activities which are non-virtuous. And so we need to be able to distinguish between the two types of activities and karma that we're engaged in, and then always devote ourselves to the performance of virtuous, positive kinds of activities, and also be able to understand how it is that even in the course of doing virtuous kinds of activities, they can be contaminated or mixed with the non-virtuous kinds of things as well. And so avoid that sort of mixture of negative sorts of actions into our positive kinds of actions that we're involved in, and instead devote ourselves specifically and entirely to the performance of positive, virtuous kinds of actions.
Oh yeah, that 가상 그참 쉬어야 되라. 초소바 보고 소남다 이식이 초소바 보라. 아니 파연 중화 되라. 투모이 연대 중화, 나 중화다. 개발지 연대 이시 양아 중화 세기. 아니 투모이 연대 나 중화데 가상 판제를 친차셔. 난게 다니 꿰매바 밀람 타잔 대화 통 세대 나와들인 바래. 그봐 삼바 타비 난게 다니 젠지 꿰매배 아니 가서래 심 아니 계획 삼바기 남바 타바기 난게 다니 제시 꿰매배 된다와 되라 아니 밀람게 내가라야 아니 대화를 통해 아니 철라 배버 차오 세대다 나와들체.
So previously we explained the different results that arise from performing these virtuous kinds of actions, that is, the specific kinds of effects that arise from them, and some of them pertain to the specific qualities that a person will achieve and so forth. And then there are additional effects. There were 25 of those effects that were given previously, and then there's the 5 sort of ordinary kinds of good qualities that one will achieve. There were 25 special kinds of good qualities that a person achieves from behaving properly, and then the common or ordinary sorts of good qualities that one achieves. There's 5 of those, and then the last of those 5 were what we concluded with yesterday, where it says that because one doesn't have the internal conditions that would give rise to them, even while one is dreaming, one will see things in a pleasant fashion. That because of the purity of your attitudes, you don't have any faults within yourself, and because of that, even in your dreams, you'll see things in a very pleasant fashion. So therefore, you should make effort to the Dharma.
Oh yeah, 다 다 니와 개발진지 연대 년아기 당보대 파마 시슈 훈련당 리지做了 림조당 롱제 리지 세동당 직접 참아 매dem비 다 자소 두수 체지 제와디 세다 사회 안변이도 나 다돈 투양 상황기 대외 텐제 최던지 세다 가서 오래서나 파마 시슈 훈련당 리지 做了 림조당 세 아니 랑기 팬도비 신 파마라 세고라 소와기 아니 시시做훈련 바탕 리지 做了 아니 림조당 아니 가자 랑기 롱제 레제 카나마도 봐 랑기 롱제 당 롱제 봐 롱제게 세고 나마라 소와가 롱제 대다 레바르 제바 카나마도 봐 매바서나 니와 매바 라요 니와다 마제바 레제 카나마도 봐 매비 세라 소와라 제바탕 세가나 파마 시슈르자 리제토라 림조당 롱제 레제 세티 오데 롱제 레제 세라 소와라 제바탕 아니 현게라라 네발라 소와 셰와 테다라 아니 파르 미저바 아니 사바 공바탕 현라 세 가서래 세라서 세고 얘네 간서를 최라서와 기침바 나 간제 짐바 동와다 아니 담마와 티나 채나야 아니 측잠보 마와다 측잠 참아 매dem비 야 하나 되려다 하나 되봐도
So then the next verse begins an exposition of 25 special good qualities that will arise for someone who behaves properly. And the first of these, the explanation of this is given in verse 81 and 82, where it says, earnestly serve your parents and respect the head of your clan. Enjoy the right things and be patient and generous. Speak gently without divisiveness and practice the discipline of truth. So that's the first verse. And then, so here it says one should venerate, one should make a great effort, and your principal effort should be to venerate your parents with food and clothing and so forth. It says they say serve or venerate your parents with food and clothing, etc., that they require. And then one should serve the head of your clan. It says respect or serve the head of your clan. And then in terms of whatever kinds of things that you use, your food, your property, clothing, etc., one should do that in the proper fashion so that it's devoid of any kinds of faults. You shouldn't be involved in even minor misdeeds, misbehavior when you're eating, utilizing your property, and so forth. So you should eat the right kind of food and in the proper fashion. That is, for example, the ordinary kind of food that you eat should not be the wrong kind of food, faulty kinds of food. And so one should do that. And then likewise, when people criticize you or do things to harm you, you should not retaliate. Instead, you should meditate on patience, cultivate patience. And then one should practice generosity. Here, the practice of generosity includes all kinds of generosity, up to starting with or including even the gift of dharma, but all the other forms of material generosity and so forth.
그래서 책장바당 현재비 바로 안에 자고 바로 봐 예와 제바기 안에 참만 매봐 참만 미쳐봐 참만 매바당 아니 덴베 안 덴베 두슈당 책 덴바를 마와 mima wa tembar mewa tembi tu shetan je sirikana da yagi pamala sagola so shishu tuba hulyanba ani riji zo la rimzo cheba ani rangi lonje teta la ani leba leje kanama doba meba zela sowa jeba ani seba gomba jimba tongwa sikjamba chama meba ya tembi tu shetan jebo te 세주부 뒤일이나 채와 뒤 대우사의 안번이 톰네 세주부 뒤라나 채와 뒤 톰네 다도야 아니 상황기바 다도야 상황기바 대외 아니 최대바 저지
So then the rest of the list here continues saying one should speak in a gentle fashion. One should one should not be involved in gossip or things like that that create divisions among others. One should be free of gossip, which creates divisiveness among other people. And then one should observe the discipline of truthfulness, speaking that which is truthful. So there's the list then of these eight different things altogether. The making effort to venerate your parents by giving them proper food and clothing, etc., providing them with what they need, serving the head of your clan or your family, and then properly, when you're yourself utilizing your property or your food and so forth, the things that you enjoy and use, you should do so in such a way that it's not involved in faulty kinds of behavior, it's not involved in misdeeds. And then practicing meditating on patience when you're in a situation where others are criticizing or harming you. Practicing generosity, speaking gently, and then not causing divisions among others by gossiping and so forth, and then following the discipline of speaking the truth all the time. Those 8 things, if you do that in the course of this life, someone who acts in that way through the course of this life, then they'll, as a result of that, they'll achieve the status of, it's called the Lord of the Gods, that kind of status of Lord of the Gods. And then likewise, even in this life as well, and in the present, such a person will be a Lord of the Gods. Then therefore, one should practice and serve and practice and rely upon the Dharma in that way.
Oh yeah, that didn't teach la. That na jege jimba tongwa, ina jimba tongwa dang songji jamba. Ani jimba chewi ngo mena, ani sonang ku soso menjuram yamna. Ani da jimba chewi ngo mena sonang ku soso menjuram sena. Jidang sangseng ki jimba la, kang jinji ngo bo sangseng goya na, kang sore sangseng jimba songbo are. 또 제라 마저바 아니 동이 세바 진병 오인바리 그와 어쨌든 데모고 아니 진바라 첨배 진바라 소요와 인자다 디마송고 바리 봐 진바리 차유 오 메나 소남지 소소 민주라 남나 쳇하버의 주의 빼던바니 주지 숨제开赛다 니리 뒤숨 진배장 첨바 유점 탕제게 소남 단이 참 매주 어디디 와 다 네가 가려서나 대도 그 추와스 대 체주숨 다지 테스트입니다. 대파 샤야기 아니 만용기 테스트입니다. 되게를 와요. 대도 그 추와 체주숨 사做투바인데 체주숨 나做투바 대다 숨자 죄외 숨자 죄와 대라 처만 나랑 주주당 대비 아니 오텔라 아니 주주세스 거리스 주주세 주주세 숨지 가서 다 일이 니마레레 신도 아니 뒤숨 진배게 아니 소남 대래 아니 다 가서래 첨배 진바 심지어 담제 대화단 된제기 참바 유잠당 탕지 안에 공부하되 안에 쏘는 치와 어떻게 쏘는 다니 참미 배봐.
Then the next verse explains, someone might think, well, if you don't have things to give, if we don't have things which are for offering to others, for giving to others, then then would I be able to develop the accumulation or the collection of merit? Someone might have that thought. This is not the case. It's not like not having things to give is the insurmountable obstacle to developing this collection of merit. And there's an example given in this next verse which shows a way of actually being generous in an extremely superior fashion, even though you don't have anything, material things to give. There are multiple forms of generosity. Generosity, of course, with actual physical or material things. But then there's also the gift of love and dharma and so forth, which are illustrated in this verse here by means of an example. So it says, giving the food of 300 stew pots every day, 3 times a day, cannot compare to even part of the merit of just a short moment of love. So the commentary here expands on that and says that if you created, it's translated as stew pots here, but it's like little vessels which are filled with like vegetables that have been prepared nicely and so forth. Or in the case of one can make a kind of soup out of rice. You can make pots out of rice soup, and these could be as big as like 10 liters of 10 liters of rice each, and that have been nicely prepared, cooked properly. And you make them such that they're cooked in a very special way with like 300 different forms of special kinds of vegetables and so forth that you prepare along with the rice and so forth. And then you make that so that there are like as many as 60 of these little pots or little containers, kachoris of vegetables and so forth, and you make them that way, and then you offer them like 300 times food that's prepared in that lavish manner with 60 of these little containers, and then you offer that 300 times to like 300 people perhaps, and you do that every day, 3 times a day. So that kind of generosity does not compare. Does not compare at all to the merit that comes from a single moment, or one can meditate for an hour or even just a minute on love. And if you have that kind of love which wishes other sentient beings to have happiness, then the merit arising from that will greatly exceed the merit that you would acquire from all of that generous gift of food.
Oh yeah. 다 되니 된다위 안에 대화다 된도 그 참바 지단 참바라 시신팡 바 이동 와기 나바기 이용 그 참바 세지다 아니 대화다 된도 그 참바 이 예배나 단다 니 대화다 된도 그 참바 다 대화다 된도 그 참바 란주래 제베 아니 가서래 판연세나 뭐 가려와래 세나 잠시 연된 개토야 되라 3이 참바를 주와다 대다장니 송하다 이대와단 대마다 두당 천지 내태다 세가나 가르를 참바권비 파연한 대와단 된적이 참바권비 아니 연당 파연되라 체디라 통제라 아니 사단 미기라라 참바를 주와 아니 미만이 다 대다장니 송하다 미만이 진짜 송하다 아니 야 이 대화당 아니 류지 대와 마와타 투다 천지 내봐 매봐 두기 내봐 매봐 천지 내봐 매봐세 아니 배조 매봐 대배 텐두봐 투다 천지 내대단 배봐 매봐 텐도 탕 배봐 매봐 배조 매봐랑 그 대체 텐도봐 참비지된 제줄 때 세가나 아니 참바고면 판연라 아니 참비지된 삼단 담으로 게 삼단 담아 치마 참비지된 게와래 초대 가데 세발라 저 마주장 참바고비 쳐나바게 토보 선다 체들라 코알라 저 마주장 아니 참바고비 쳐나바게 보디 다 콘도 샤바게 보디 템바리 삼이 참바주와 미마인 바타기 수와 이대와 류지대와 마와 두근 내봐 매봐 천진 내봐 매봐 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 되지 텐두바 치마 삼비지대도 깨와주가 깨보대
Then verse 84 and 85, here in the previous verse in 83, it says that by having this desire that sentient beings possess happiness, simply having that for an hour or a minute has that kind of produces that much merit that would completely exceeds the merit derived from offering all of the food as described above. So there are two kinds of love, various forms of love. There's the love which is a simple affection for others, a kind of affection for others. And then there's the love which is wishing that others have happiness. And that second form of love is what is mentioned here in the text, the wish that others should have happiness. So out of that kind of, by meditating on that kind of love which wishes others to have happiness and conditioning yourself to it, then you get various kinds of special results. You have all kinds of, you develop good qualities from that, and those are enumerated in verse 84 and 85, where it says, even if not liberated, you will attain these 8 excellent qualities from practicing love or meditating on love. Gods and humans will love you, and they will also protect you. You will have peace of mind and much happiness. You will not be harmed by either poison or weapons. You will effortlessly attain your aims and be reborn in the realm of Brahma. So here, the first of these is, this lists 8 different good qualities that arise from one's meditation or practice of conditioning yourself or meditating on love. And then it's explained that even in this world right now here, the gods and humans will love you. They'll have that kind of affection towards you. And then likewise, even the non-human kinds of beings will guard you. You'll be protected by non-humans. And then also you'll have mental ease or mental happiness and a great deal of physical pleasure as well. And then also you will not be harmed by poison, and you will not be harmed by weapons. Similarly, in addition, you'll be able to achieve your aims without whatever you wish to accomplish without requiring any great effort. And then finally, in your next life, you'll be reborn in the world of Brahma. That refers here to the first of the dhyanas, the first meditative concentration kind of state in the first of those, in the physical level of those. And then it says that if you, even if you're not liberated from existence or samsara at the present, by means of you will attain these eightfold you'll obtain these 8 dharmas. The dharma here is referring to these good qualities. from habituating yourself to love. So to go through the list again, you will be first. You'll be loved by by gods and humans in this very life. You'll be protected by non-human beings. You'll have mental happiness, physical happiness, a great deal of it. You'll not be harmed by poison. You won't be harmed by weapons. You'll effortlessly be able to accomplish the aims that you wish to accomplish. And then in the next life as well, you'll be born in this world of Brahma.
Oh yeah. That didn't teach la sumba de la. Oh, Changju, some Namne Changju, to Semji Juji Danchana. Riwan Jawa Dambi, Changju Semne Datu Top. Only some Nami, Namla. Ane Changju Semji Payan Shabi Guane. Ane Changju Sem Jet to Jujing. Oh, Changju Sem Jenny down, some Jeba them Mijoba. Ane Changju the same Mian Bachela. Or Changju Sem Damba. Or Changju Sem Mianba. Teddy Semji Mian Bidula Laveta. Jawachima Semji Mian Bidula Lave. Nabi Chishi Bonwada, Gabi Chishi Dambada. Changju with Semji Payan to Chambada. Ni Nansu Tana to Sem Jeba La Sawagi. Ane Tiam Miniam Shin. Ane Damba Chebe Tap Chana. Ane Changju Sem. Ruan Jawodan Dembi Changjuji Semni, Ane Rani Didan did not chima datu tobo. Oh, Ruan Jawod that Changju Semni datu top.
Then the next verse explains additional benefits. This is verse 86, which says, if you lead others to develop bodhicitta, and then make it firm, you will always have bodhicitta as stable as the king of mountains itself. So this is referring to one should cause other sentient beings to develop bodhicitta, that is, induce them to develop bodhicitta. And then once they have done that, develop bodhicitta, one should see to it that it does not deteriorate. And then one does that through recalling the benefits of bodhicitta. That is, there's 6 major benefits, and recalling them, remembering them every day, and then day and night doing practices to reinforce and to prevent your bodhicitta from deteriorating. And if one performs that kind of method of stabilizing bodhicitta, then oneself will also here and in the future lives, in your future lives as well, always acquire bodhicitta, which is as stable as the king of mountains.
Oh yeah, that's what they are. Tebe Mugum drum Minjur say that I just show an Asian. Oh. They Zawatun and I mean, they will come so say Gana. Any landed a Yishik Taba Gombe. Any castle, make it what you bang bear. Any make it what you Taba Gomba then and make it what you bang bear in down, make it with legend, I mean, they won't. Any Mugumba draw Minjuba. Or Sojin and Mugumba draw Minjua.
Then the beginning of verse 87 says, through faith you do not take rebirths that lack freedom. This is referring here to specifically the kind of faith which arises out of understanding causality as it applies to our morally qualified actions, karma, when we perform, understanding that our virtuous actions produce happiness, non-virtuous actions produce suffering. And by conditioning ourselves, having that attitude well fixed within our minds, under confidence in karma, and in that way, then we will not transmigrate into any of the states that are without freedom, evil sorts of destinies. Then within also. Lagendi Tsokin Nangni Kyang. Tsokin Nangni Kyang. Lagendi Tsokin Nangni.
Sojin and Tabacombe. 대바 임바
알레.
소지 나네 대배 미고마 미고마 아 미고마 좋아하면 좋아 나 대바 기사 이야기 시간아 랜데라 이些대바 제베 아니 나서도 제지 미고마 제지 그 안주 주대다 빵빵 뻥뻥 뻥 줘봐 인상 아니 미고마 좋아하면 좋아
So then it also says within the accumulation of merit, that is, while you're in the process of accumulating the collection of merit, then you're proceeding to do that through having this kind of confident trust in karma and its results. Then you'll not be born in any of the states of existence which are without freedom to practice. That is, one will not go to the states where, like in the evil destinies, where one doesn't have any opportunity to practice.
되네다每个 지봉기 추점 아니 그지 침每个 방외에 아니 가와주 그 추점기每个 지봉기 추점다 가와주 추점디 미그 돈바기 안에 그지 추점 대기 안에 가르래서나 가서래 팀지 텐도 좋아 투빙 오다 미금 예본 대기 다 왔다도 이 전에 또 뒤바라 소원 나신진 좋아 상보 안에 된지 대 토와 와 어디 이제 언제 주니 추점 내셔매 세야게 가나 denro jeje ke gyudele tsudum lela baji mea yinzang tsudum jine lamin zhawa sambo toba wo.
So then the next line says, out of ethical conduct, ethical conduct, that one will go to good destinies or good forms of life. One will be reborn in the happy states of existence. So this is explained in the commentary, just saying that by means of ethical conduct, here this refers specifically, it refers to what we discussed previously, where it's the abandonment of the 10 kinds of non-virtue. By means of that, one will obtain an excellent life, excellent rebirth in the pleasant forms of existence as a god or a human. And this is explained elsewhere as well, where it says that as far as the cause of being reborn in the high states of existence as gods and humans, there's nothing that is superior to ethical conduct. This is the highest kind of practice.
나 되니 사무 동반이 때나 밤에 대라 광바이 동반이라 광바이 천왕군라 참에 토시 나 되기 동반이 또와라 광바에 마 신도 권배 아니 리비 연된지 아니 미디초 답변아 진미 미디초 세나 출un지 미디초 최자라 소와기 연된 대다게 미디쇼 림베 드베 아니 개와타라 미년바기 아니 바이오 토바다 천나 꾸이나 참에 토브세야데 아니 바이오 토바다 시그인서리
Then it says, the next line says that through meditating or conditioning yourself to emptiness, you'll obtain detachment from all phenomena. This then shows that by means of meditation, or rather by means of habituating yourself to your understanding of emptiness, that will be such that you'll out of that kind of habituation of yourself to your understanding of emptiness. This refers then to the sequence or process by which we develop an understanding of emptiness, all of the various stages of that process. Through doing that, then we attain conscientiousness. Conscientiousness here is that which prevents us from having our virtues deteriorate out of being obscured by the opposites of the opposite of good qualities. The opposite of good qualities here refers to, for example, stinginess, stinginess is the opposite of the good quality of generosity. So if you have stinginess, then you cannot, or it provides an obstacle, or it obstructs you from performing generosity. Therefore, meditating, cultivating your understanding of emptiness enables you to, causes you to obtain conscientiousness, which prevents this deterioration of your virtue from being obscured by the opposites of those good qualities.
Oh yeah. Then you may buy a tendon top. Say, Chen Yambala saw a new gulon like you meba. And a Chen Yambe, and a can't return the, and a temper that never toba. And a ye shumba, ye tambosimana, ye shumba toba.
Next verse, this is in verse 88. Through.
You may buy a tendon tops.
By not being, says deceptive here. Here it says, yomepa sana, yomepa.
Yomepa.
By not being deceptive, you become mindful. You'll obtain mindfulness. So this, by means, because of, as a result of listening to the Dharma and so forth, you'll be free of deceit. You won't be deceitful. And from that, you'll attain mindfulness. That is, your mind will attain a kind of state in which it is clear and able to clearly understand things and have that kind of intelligence.
Oh yeah. That is somebody said loaded to say Gana. Ane Landogine or Landogine, I chela semba chebi. Langwada Tochi chela semba chebi. Ane Landogine so sort of jebagi lodre, and a shadow sembo toba. I call a judge, Lando shadow sembo toba. I share Namji, Nelu Soso Jebagi, Nelu Jitana, Ani or Soso Jebi, Ani Lodre of Shara Chimbotoba, that kind.
So then it says, through reflection, you attain intelligence. Here, reflection means repeated thinking or contemplating the things which are to be taken up and the things that are to be abandoned or avoided. So through understanding the essential points of that which is to be practiced and that which is to be avoided, then and reflecting upon it, thinking about it, you'll obtain intelligence. One can also apply here reflection upon the nature of things, the way things actually are, the actual nature of things, and through that kind of reflection on the Dharma of either the practices you should practice and the things you should avoid, or the nature of reality. That kind of you'll attain that kind of intelligence and a special kind of great wisdom.
Oh yeah. Goody Chebe turned out then, said he, Ani Tambi Cherdang, Chemawa Bola, and a Kushawa Goody Chebe, Chiji turned over the Damba. Then
through reverence, you will realize the Dharma's meaning. Here this says, like, through reverence or respectfully attending upon people who are teaching the Dharma and so forth. One should have that kind of reverence and respectful conduct and service to the Dharma itself, as well as those who speak the Dharma, teach the Dharma. And out of that, one will be a person who develops understanding of the meaning of the Dharma.
Oh, Chusung Shara Jandu Juru, say Kana, 최퇴위퇴 퇴위 최대 퇴장점도 마송와 아니 퇴위퇴인데라 안 삼종기 아니 셰라게 아니 삼백관에 퇴위퇴인데 맞아봐 송외 아니 셰라잔도 주외 셰라잔도 주와
Then 88 says, here it says through protecting, but I would rather translate that as through preserving the Dharma, you will become wise. Through preserving the Dharma, you will become a person having wisdom. So this is understood as that through preserving, here this refers to preserving the Dharma which you have heard. So this refers to the process of first listening to the Dharma, then that Dharma that you've heard and understood, reflecting upon it, thinking about analyzing it, and then finally meditating upon it. That's what is referred to here as preserving the Dharma that you've heard. By that, you'll become a person who has wisdom.
Oh yeah. That's 천년바다 진바다 리바 매바 쉐바 이 세디 아니 천년바다 아니 년바보다 최지 진바 쉐비 체나 아니 년바보 되라 간 진바를 팬토바 그 최대 아니 랑그 마진바 변지 쉐디 뼈지라 소위 견지 아니 오 뼈지라 소와 오 텐지 마체바 텐지 견지 리바 매바 쉐바 이 리바 매바 쉐바 이 산제 남단 dro바니 리바 매바 쉐라 변지 매바 쉐던바 디 아니 쉐던바 쉐바디 산제 남단 안에 dro바니 산제단 dro바 토바 주신 현양 대배된 니도 토바 주 랑그 대배된 니도 토바 주와 예상 대바 니도 토바 주
Then it says, through eliminating obscurations in listening to and imparting the Dharma, you will gain the companionship of Buddhas and quickly fulfill your desires. So this means that when you're listening to the Dharma, and at the time when you're giving the Dharma to others, you should, by being free of the obscurations or obstacles, which are the faults of close-fistedness, etc. Here, close-fistedness, literally it means close-fistedness means the unwillingness to teach that which is appropriate for the person who is requesting some instruction. That kind of close-fistedness. So being free of those, the obscurations of those kinds of faults, etc., while listening to the Dharma or teaching the Dharma, by means of that, you'll be accompanied by Buddhas. That is, the Buddhas will associate with you, and also you'll attain that kind of situation of having Buddhas be associated with you, and then also you will quickly attain the aims that you wish for.
Oh, that's it. 중요와 되라 마샤바니 텐줍데스 오다 된라 마샤바 아니 마샤바 어디기 아니 마된라 마샤라 파베릭시난 지금바리 아니 가서래 최지 텐주바 된라 마샤바 최지 텐주바
Then through non-attachment you accomplish your aims. Here the aims are referring to the aims of the Dharma aims that you have. That is, and so the commentary explains that by being free of attachment to sense objects, the sense objects that are pleasurable to our senses, then one will achieve one's Dharma objectives.
Oh yeah, that is yeah. Sena meba longe pewa segala. 아니 가서 진바 따와라 되네 롱조요 지레 전된 내인 우부미 세나 우비 내인 전된 미 제네 아니 장을 맞춰 소나시 제네 세나 매베 아니 런지 패와
sena ubumen.
짐바 된 지라 전된 짐바 땅와라 되는 저바데 담바 정그레스 우보 연구 말에 세나 체외 우보 연구 우글만도 저우텔라 저바데 담바 정구 말에 이자 세나 매베 런지 패와
Then the translation here says through lack of greed, but this should be translated as stinginess. Through lack of stinginess, your possessions increase. Commentary here says that someone who is without that kind of stinginess, unwillingness to give, will have increased possessions, property, desirable forms of property. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama has said that stinginess is not something that produces a kind of stinginess does not actually increase our wealth. In fact, it increases our poverty. Out of stinginess, we don't get we actually don't get the kinds of possessions that we want, and we end up in a state of poverty.
Oh yeah, then 나자 매바 조추르세 당 나자 매발라 때네 아니 군지 나자지 공부를 연된 그 춤이샤세 나시체니 나자 매발라 매바 인자 아니 현지기 아니 꿈이 조추와
Then through lack of pride, one will become prominent. A person who is without pride will be someone who is prominent in the sense of someone who everyone respects, that all of the people respect. Then through, it says here, tolerance for the dharma of emptiness, you attain the dharani of not forgetting. Dharani, this word can mean special, it's like a special kind of memory, like eidetic memory, I guess, is a way you could translate that. So it says here that through patience or forbearance with respect to the dharma here is referring to the dharma of non-arising, which is another name for emptiness. And through the forbearance with respect to the dharma of emptiness, one attains this eidetic memory, which is free of forgetfulness.
Dünn kunjin mise je tobo sheni tobo chi chod yu se gala nimbonga se de an dunga nimbonga se de da di puram da shima da zhangzi da dima da lanza so de nimbonga de o nimbonga nam jimba tang deni miji ba japji jimba sen dala so wa jiba le ani teda la ani gema la so wa gi miji ba jimba da yo sa teda la 아니 다이 미주바게 아니 게마라 소기 소와게 미치바 침바이 미치바 잡지 침바 세데 침바이 뒤남지 미주신 아니 또치 쳐도 쳐봐고
Then next verse says, through giving the 5 quintessentials and fearlessness to those in fear, you will become impervious to all demons and the best of powerful beings. Here the 5, you could say the 5 quintessentials, that's okay. This is 5 kinds of materials for food preparation. These are molasses, clarified butter, honey, sesame oil, and salt. There are other forms of these, other things in addition, but these are the 5 called 5 essentials. By giving those, and also by things such as by giving people freedom from fear or protecting them from fearful situations, such as if someone is frightened by an enemy, then one protects them by providing an escort for them, helping them to get through the place where the enemy is. And by those kinds of forms of generosity, then one will not be harassed by any devils and maras, and also one will become the best the most powerful kind of person and supremely powerful sort of person.
Oh yeah, that did 최대 마음에 청와다 명바다도 저마다 마음에 주말 청바에 사이 민에 토바 주루세가나 아니 최대라 마음에 그 청와다 아니 명공도 아니 민배 년비 명바타도 아니 야 나와 죄매당 나와 죄매당 아니 마음에 그 치도 아니 주말 청바에 마음에 주 아니 주말 청바기 제부데라 아니 사이 민 토바 주와
Then through giving garlands of lamps to stupas, lights for those hindered by the dark, and oil for all these lamps, you will attain the divine eye. So here it says, and the commentary says effectively the same thing with some elaboration, that by giving gifts of garlands of lamps or chains of lamps, at stupas, the rows of lamps at stupas, and by providing lamps for those who are endangered by darkness, like if they've gone into caves or things like that. Then providing lamps for them, and providing also the butter, the clarified butter, for the sake of those kinds of lamps, and giving also oil that's derived from grain for lamps like that. Then one will achieve the divine eye, the divine vision.
다들이 최대 처바로모다 주부단이 부와다 돈당만이 라부가 사이 나와 토바초 세가 안에 최대한라 최비치도 처바티 차겐 안에 로모당 지부다 부와다 자이 제바 아니 동당 아니 라부베 부와라 때네 아니 파연 대부카리 연구를 해서 사용 것이 토바를 주와
Again, the Flaimik on Flaimik. Flaimik.
Flaimik. 담보들 Flaimik 것이 Flaimik. 수 바다 만보고 수통야 그다 Flaimik 요리.
So the divine eye in the previous verse it refers to this special clairvoyance of being able to see distances and so forth. Then next verse says, through giving, by offering cymbals and bells for the worship of stupas, and also giving conch horns and drums, you will attain the divine ear, divine hearing. So in the performance of worship of stupas, if you give the prerequisites for that kind of worship of the stupas, such as cymbals, bells, those sorts of things, as well as conchs, trumpets made out of conch shells, drums, giving those in a extensive fashion, then you'll attain this special psychic power, which is called divine hearing.
현지 추와 밀린시 야라냥바 냠메시 셈니 제수 소만에 현지 셈니 셔와 톱 세가나 아니 랑게 추와 녀와데 랑게 추와 녀와 셔와데 밀린시 밀린시 셔와소 야라냥바 나마 미치칭 있으라 현지 추와 셔와데 녀와 밀린바 랑게 녀와데다지 밀린시 아니야 셔와라 소와 야라냥바 데라라야 아니 미쳐봐. 야라냐바나 미치신. 아니 현지 셈지 제수 송아 현지 셈지 제수 송아지 현지 대바 나신 제수 송외. 아니 판연라 현생식은 오셔터봐.
Then through 94, do not speak of others' faults, or do not speak of others' errors, nor mention their physical handicaps. By carefully guarding their minds, you will attain the knowledge of others' minds. So here it says, if someone has made a mistake, has done something which is faulty, then you should not point that out to them or to others. And then if someone has some kind of physical defect, like a limb which is damaged, or they've lost an eye, those kinds of physical defects, you should not refer to them. And in that way, one should take care of others' minds. One should have guard others' minds in that way. And if one does that, then one will obtain the psychic power of knowing others' minds.
Oh yeah, 아들이 삼다选拔진바다 냠중 구와 쳐와다选拔라마 구와 예开外组织套把就谁干了아니显了삼당 기다다 아니我选拔看到저와게 아니 좀选拔진바 아니 좀 미니비 냠중와 대다라 아니 랑게 차바라 안 차배 쳐와서 구와 쳐와다 아니选拔라마라 구와 예 라마라 구와 포와 예 아니 텐더비 개외 아니 가서 구와 예 개외 직도 주시 마음 다 주주인 것이 더봐 마음 직도 줘봐라 지금 마음 줘라 써봐 아니 주주인 것이 더봐 좋아.
Then the next verse says, by providing shoes and conveyances, attending to those who are weak, and assisting one's gurus with transportation, the wise person attains miraculous powers. This is explained that so people who require shoes, who require means of transportation, conveyances, if one gives those to them, people who are not able to travel on their own, under their own power. If, like for example, someone who is very weak, you take them on your shoulders or on your back, and you carry them in that way, doing that kind of service, as well as providing your guru with the service of providing them transportation when they require it. By doing all of these things, the wise person will obtain the psychic power, which is a kind of miraculous ability to multiply, to combine multiple things into a single thing, and to take a single thing and multiply it into many things.
최지체다 대신도 최순된다 템바다 최지진바 템매배 체럽 템바 토바 줄 세가나 아니 최지체도 아니랑게 까와치마 까제 쇠바다 아니 둘라가 쳐봐 최지체도 둘라가 쳐바다 대신도 아니 최지중 레밤다 아 최대다 그 된다 미제바 체진 아니 미제바 체진 강 퇴비 되다다 아니 템바다 템바 아니 련라와 메바 파 체지 진바 체간라 란라 소소게 아니야 련라와 메바 여지 련라와 메바 아니 체지니 뭐제메바 도서양다 지신된 전이 저다와라 소만인데 니모제니 직접 육군에 란데 아니 최대마 마인바 련라와라 소박 어때나 신신라와 메바 그 취지 진바 처만 메베 처만 메바 진베 아란다 신지 아니 차랑아마 템베 응원에 지레 그 것이 더 그래.
Then, through making efforts for the sake of the Dharma, through keeping the Dharma treatises and their meaning in mind, and through giving the Dharma immaculately, you will come to remember your own and others' past lives. the text here just says your past lives, but this actually should include both your own and others' past lives. So, for the sake of the Dharma, if you endure difficulties and you do things like building temples, and likewise, if you take care of Dharma texts, the actual texts which contain Dharma, and guard them and so forth, and if you also then practice recalling the Dharma that without the Dharma that you've heard without forgetting it, and you do this kind of thing, this as well as if you make the gift of the Dharma in a stainless fashion. Here, this is referring to explaining Dharma to others or teaching Dharma formally, and the stainless practice of that generosity means doing so without any hope for repayment or some kind of for getting something in return for it. This is explained in the Abhidharma Kosha, the treasury of philosophy, which says that doing the Dharma, the gift of Dharma in a stainless fashion, it means doing so without being affected by the mental afflictions while one's doing it. Then if you do that properly, you will obtain the psychic power of recalling both your own and others' former lives. Through correctly and truly understanding that all things are essenceless, you will attain the sixth psychic power, or super knowledge, one might translate it here, the supreme cessation of all defilement. So this refers to if you fully understand correctly and just as it is, that things are ultimately devoid, without an essence, or ultimately without intrinsic nature. So things here refers to both internal and external things. All phenomena are without an essence or devoid of intrinsic existence, ultimately do not possess any kind of intrinsic existence. This is referring here to emptiness. So here then, when it says everything has its own nature, all phenomena have their own particular nature, but if we say ultimately they're devoid of, or they're without any kind of essence or intrinsic existence. So ultimately they're devoid of that kind of intrinsic nature, and that emptiness then is what is to be correctly understood, just as it is. So by thoroughly understanding that, then fully understanding that, then one attains one will attain the sixth of these, they're called psychic, well, psychic power does not work here. This would refer to some superior form of knowledge, superior knowledge, which is the extinction or separation, which is the extinction of the obscurations, which are mental afflictions. So this sixth superior knowledge or supreme kind of knowledge is that, which is, so that separation is itself cessation, the reality of cessation among the four realities. And so that is that. And then one will also attain the path of liberation for that. The path of liberation for that here is referring to the uncreated path of liberation. The path of liberation has two forms. There's a created form and an uncreated form. This is the uncreated form of it. And so one will attain then this supreme extinction of all of the defilements, and one will have this kind of, one will have a perceptual knowledge of this extinction of all of the defilements, a direct perception of that. And so one will attain thus that path of liberation, as well as the separation from the defilements themselves, which is the, and that together comprises this sixth kind of higher knowledge or superior knowledge.
Oh yeah, that is la. Sometimes tham gia做一些提醒些人的，提醒一些人的吧。你这两把光把一，那把错点叫我去，所以我sometimes nam，安尼卡说的。시시 지발라 트라위 치도 아니 티시니 시비 아니 셰럽 가서다 냠 셰럽 지난 그 쳐다 냠바 댐박 이나 쳐 탐자기 땡기 아니 티시니 셰바 어 텐다비 셰럽 테 돈이 도비 이시 그 초대 티시니 도비 셰럽 이시 그 초대 다탑 쳐바제 시시 지발라 drawer chebagi ani khasara nyden do chebala ninji tap chabarje sebaji gogo wa yinja ninji lamba de toni do bi shera ninji nimbo jen o ninji nimbo jen toni do bi shera ji tap ji simbi shera ani khasore toni do bi shera de ninji nimbo jen gomba yi jisoji yende masang mebe o number good chok number good number chok good and them number choden ji doni said this one number choden ji doni said 탑지 안에 차 탐자단 대비 돈이 더 비셔럽 되라 남구 choden ji doni 더 비셔럽 so tender number chodan 군도 댐비 안에 야와 추로
Then verse 98 says, by meditating so as to liberate all beings, by meditating upon the uniform awareness of suchness that has been moistened by compassion, you will become a victor, and then it says in the translation here, with supreme qualities. We have to modify the translation here a little bit. It should really read something like endowed with the best of all things. Endowed with the best of all things. So here it says that in order to liberate all sentient beings from, and we need to understand that, liberate them from both existence or samsara, as well as peace, the one-sided peace of nirvana. So in order to liberate all sentient beings from samsara and that limited kind of nirvana, then one should, by meditating or conditioning oneself to the wisdom which understands reality, wisdom, understanding, reality, and which does so it's called in a equal, it has that in a kind of equal fashion. The equal fashion here refers to that all phenomena are equally devoid of intrinsic nature, are equally qualified by that reality, which is emptiness. So they have that, all phenomena possess that equally. And so by cultivating and meditating upon that, cultivating that wisdom which understands reality, then one will develop the collection of gnosis, which is moistened by compassion. So moistened by compassion here refers to when one's doing this kind of meditation on emptiness, it's, as we've said previously, in a sense governed by the method side and specifically by the compassion aspect of the path. So then it will function, this meditation on emptiness will function on as the cause for the accumulation of the collection of gnosis. So by the wisdom which understands emptiness, which has compassion as its essence, so this form of meditation on emptiness has compassion as its essence, as stated previously, when one is doing it with that compassion. Then if one meditates on emptiness in that way, and then performs all of the various kinds of practices, such as generosity and so forth, the 6 perfections, and other practices that are pertain to the method side of the Mahayana path, then which complete all good qualities without exception. Then one will become a victor who possesses the best of all aspects. Now, the term best of all aspects here, it refers to the form of emptiness which is endowed with the best of all aspects, that form of emptiness. So you will become a victor who has that, who's realized or has that emptiness endowed with the best of all aspects.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Nishiwatela, Malam Nazo Taba, Isanje Shine Taba Jurus. The Malam Bumda Tama, but Jula Sovak, Malam Nazoba, or Malam Nazoba Taba Teas, or Ram, and it ran to Sanje with Sanje Shine Taba Jua.
Then here, the next first 2 lines of 99 say, and here the translation should be modified again. It should say, due to the purity of your various prayers, aspirational prayers, your Buddha field will be pure. So then it says, so through the purity of your various prayers of aspiration, and this refers to various kinds of prayers, aspirational prayers, such as there's a prayer which, in which one refers to the prayer which is 10 times a countless 100,000. A countless actually is a number here which is 10 to the 5th power. And so if you multiply that by 10 and then that by 100,000, then this prayer subsumes that. And so by means of that kind of aspirational prayer, then the field within which, the Buddha field within which you will achieve Buddhahood will be purified.
Oh, yeah, 200 Puai, Taya Yuni number 2, 2 Ambola, Renjin Puaki, and Sonam Ki, and the Taya Bear, is a number, number 2, Tabajuba. Yes, by having offered precious gems to the King of Sages, you will shine with limitless light. So by offering, here it says gems, but this could refer to any kind of precious thing. By offering precious things, gems and gold, etc., to the Lord of the Sages, you will obtain
that radiance which radiates limitless light.
Oh yeah, that didn't. 가서 나디 이시장한테 야 칭찬해. 아니 나타에 비연된 대회에 해버려진 지 연된 대회 군전 대회 나 공도 시합하고 연된 영화부 대다 토바 군전 대회나 대달래 대회 대달랜데 타 tumbar 첸지 텐두니 세리가나 아니 군전 대회나 공도 시합하기 아니 연된 대다 토베 군전 대화나 대다 랜데 타 마르샤바나시 아니 가소리 가보 개외 레담 나보 미기비 랜데 타 마르샤바다 촌디 체베스다 개외 랜데 개위 랜데 되다 촌디 체베 유개와 샤바라 되다 마르샤바다 촌디 체베스 공도 샤바기 유대단 딜라테네 되다 디 중화 개와기 되다 촌디 체베 아니 오 가소리 데부디다 주위 군대 데부디다 그위 내기 데우데와 공도 샤바 대다 주위 아니 군대 tumba chamber 자네스 오 군대 tumba 참 그위 내점발라 데우데와 중화 데우 태단테 중화 그 규태 주발라 되는 데우 태단테 중화데 아니 tumba 중화데 chamber 자네 첨바잖아 세더라 대외 대다 랜데다 tumbai kenze.
So thus, in that way, having understood, one should, having properly understood karma and its results as properly in accordance with the way it's been expressed above. Here this is referring, well, first it says thus. Thus actually refers to the exposition of the 25 good qualities that you'll achieve through these practices that have been given above, as well as the other practices mentioned previously. So through understanding the causal relationship between the actions themselves and these results that arise out of those karmas, those actions, then one should understand properly karma in accordance with the way it's been presented above. So the commentary on that, says that thus. Having understood karma and its results, and this is referring both to the virtuous forms of karma, the positive forms of karma, as well as the negative, dark forms of karma and their results, as it's been explained previously. And then by performing, by creating the collections as mentioned above, also that is the collection of merit and the collection of gnosis in the way that it was described above in terms of the actions that produce these specific results and the specific results of those actions. And then having understood this properly, that by the performance of the creation of these collections, that this specific result will arise from this specific kind of action, specific cause. Then,
개외 레지 소디단 디 체베 데우디단 디 준비 아니 군데 아니 툼바 첨바자네스 와 첨바자네스 데니 텐도네 돌아다도 돌아 펜바다도 제 세가나 라라 펜바기 아니 거의 텐도니 아니 돌아셴라 펜바다도 제시罗现在偏把大队追起，罗现在偏把大队再把天呢，你家伙去了呀，偏把喇叭偏头把的是，
So then, having understood this way, as it's been described above, that these specific actions that we perform, or if we perform these specific actions which produce these collections of merit and gnosis, then they'll have the specific results of the good qualities and so forth that have been enumerated above, and understanding the causal relationship between the causes, the karma itself, and the results that arise from that. Then, in order to benefit oneself, for the sake of oneself, for that purpose, and then in order to benefit oneself, one should make effort, constantly make effort to benefit living beings, or transmigrating beings, sentient beings. So this is saying then in the verse itself that for that purpose, one should, in order to benefit oneself, one should constantly make effort to benefit sentient beings. And this itself will be beneficial to you. So that's the final instruction in this chapter, that this very practice itself is beneficial for you, O king.
Oh yeah, that's only Rinpoche Chungwa Chanju Soduwa Shechawa Liu Sumbawu, Jawola Tamchawa Rinpoche Chungwa Soduwa Shechadi Liu Sumbi Jawa, that digi Liu Sumba.
So then the titles here are, the title of the basic text is that this is the third chapter, which is called the accumulation, or a collection of the accumulation of the collections for awakening from the precious Garland. And then the commentary's title is, this is the commentary on the third chapter, which is the chapter which is drawn from the precious Garland, which is instructions to a king, and the title of the chapter again is the accumulation of the collections for awakening.
Dadini Liu Shiwa Dela Sum Egu Kongi Msavja Sumba Javi Jizu Jaogi Ani 다 융아 그 제주라 카나마도 바 메바 라발라 니와 메바 라발라 안 담바 셀라 다 저제 시체 이거 뭐죠 대난에 담보 참자되라 숨체외 가나 대용어 미니싱 파제 때베 레셰 센르바탕 펜비 측년바 덴베 숨바신 라와 덴바다 라라 펜비 피
So then the fourth chapter here is called the practices of a king, or the instruction on the practices of a king, or it's translated as royal policy here. Roughly, that's okay, not bad. So here then this has multiple subdivisions as well. This chapter, we've arrived at the advice or instruction on that in how to train oneself in the royal practices or royal policy, such that it will be free from fault. Then there's a setting forth the connection here, an extensive explanation, a summation, the way in which, if finally the last subject in this chapter is that if one is not able to properly perform the special practices, activities that are required for a king, that one should become a renunciate. And so the first of these is the setting out the connection here, and that has multiple subdivisions as well. The first of these is that it's proper to listen to good advice, good well-explained advice, because it's difficult for people to criticize or provide criticism directly to a king, And instead, most advisors will simply praise the king to his face or flatter him. So it's instead, because that is the case, when it's difficult, or when it's proper, that one listen to good advice. And then it was just as it was said by the teacher, as taught by the Buddha, that one should listen to beneficial advice, beneficial words. There's an instruction to practice that as well. And then there's the actual exhortation to listen to words which are beneficial, listen to advice which is beneficial both to oneself and to others.
Oh yeah, that somebody, but now, oh, yeah, more many project debe necessary bani, right? Kanchi sada mise ba shewa kawe jawo ni chemi riba minje yang jesu sowa project de sta tambo de tambo ni wo de shina ana kanchi sada mise ba shewa kawe jawo yi jawo ni che ma yin ba ane chawa riba ma yin ba chewa de ji yin na yang zhe jiang lembo dan ba la sowa gi ane jawo gi chawa ji jesu sowa project gi 아니 차와대랑 어때봐 체기지 일반 많이 받아 최 많이 받잖아야 되라 때봐 체그래 말이 매바 체미니 니고 말이 매바 체미니데 아니 강기실이 아니 매바 체다 매바 체나 잡아서 그래 매바 체와데 세다 미셔바디 얼른 뭐 대다 시aba 까마래.
So this this says that in the first verse that there's a translation in the notes which corresponds more closely to the Tibetan here, and this is in note 64. Since it is difficult to know what a king will and will not tolerate, most of his subjects praise him, even if he does something that contradicts Dharma, or does something that, and he translates it as does not make sense. I would say that is improper. If the king does something that contradicts Dharma or does something that is improper. So there, because if you take the last two lines of this first verse, if the king does something, acts in a way which is non-dharmic, that is, does not accord with the Dharma, or is incorrect, then most of the time his attendants, those who serve him, will praise him to his face. The reason for this is because it's very difficult to know whether or not the king will tolerate criticism which is presented to him. So the commentary says that basically the same thing, that when a king, even if a king does something which is against the Dharma or is in some other sense incorrect, then his ministers, his subjects, etc., all of the people that are dependent upon the king, most of them usually will simply flatter him to his face, will praise him to his face, but they're not able to actually offer criticism to him because it's difficult for them to know whether or not the king will tolerate that.
Oh yeah, this one. Oh yeah, that's
We'll stop there.
这出现没多长，这绕那些，没得不阿姨，都跟南大县拉去吧。